Greetings everybody, welcome back to I Dream of Indie. I am Ole Gamer Joe here with another review for you today. We're looking at an interesting one for sure, Paratopic, releasing onto the Nintendo Switch as of August 21st, 2020. A first-person horror-like experience. This game was developed by Arbitrary Metric, and the Nintendo Switch version was published by Baltoro Games. Ole Gamer Joe is not often speechless on this channel. If anything, maybe I talk a little bit too much sometimes, but in the case of Paratopic, I honestly have no idea what to say. I guess I will try to explain this story to you at least a little bit from what I can understand. Essentially what's going on here is you are smuggling in some VHS tapes. It's unclear exactly what's on these tapes or why they're important to certain people, but they are. This leads you into a nightmare scenario of sorts that has you warping around to a variety of different locations, including your car and then the woods, culminating in an ending that only David Lynch could be proud of. So what exactly happened here? I can't quite explain it, but perhaps picking through and solving this mystery is part of the fun. Paratopic does take place from the first-person perspective. You might be thinking that there'll be some gunplay involved here, and there is, but really only for about a second or two. This is not a first-person shooter by any means, more of a horror walking simulator type experience. The only real gameplay here is occasionally picking up an item, driving your car, which involves a little bit of steering, and pushing the buttons on your radio. Really not much to speak of outside of that and walking around, as this game will randomly cut from scene to scene quite quickly. Occasionally, you will have a conversation with a character or two in the world of Paratopic with a few different options to select from. This could add a little bit of replay value to this game, as well as some achievements which can be found throughout the different areas that you explore. Paratopic also quite literally needs to be completed in one sitting. There's no saving in this game whatsoever. I was able to blow through it in about 40 minutes, and I'm still unclear exactly what triggers each scene, but yeah, it took about 40 minutes. Graphically, Paratopic has a pretty interesting art style. I enjoyed the 32-bit aesthetic of this title. It does remind me a lot of the PlayStation era, but the game runs smoothly, whereas those games didn't necessarily always do that. Still though, this one looks really neat. I like this art style quite a bit. The blockiness of the characters makes them really freaky and disturbing looking, which is perfectly fitting for this type of game. The more open areas of this experience, like the woods, actually look really cool too. Overall, I was a fan of the art direction in general. The soundtrack is also excellent in Paratopic, very freaky, very unsettling, again reminded me a lot of a David Lynch movie. Paratopic ultimately leaves you with more questions than answers, but maybe that was the point, trying to figure out just exactly what you have been through. It's a hellish experience, and one I won't soon forget, despite the fact that it is really short. It sticks with you long after you've completed it. Is $5.49 worth a strange trip through a hell portal and maybe some conversations afterwards, digging up forums, that kind of thing? That's ultimately up to you. Personally, I would say check this one out if you're into art pieces, if you enjoy David Lynch-style movies or Twin Peaks, that kind of thing. Paratopic plays more like watching an art film, but it is an entertaining one that has some horrific moments which will stick with you. So will you be checking out Paratopic? Let us know in the comments section below, and if you have enjoyed our video coverage today, consider hitting the subscribe button. Help us to bring a voice to the voiceless ones in gaming. There's a ton of other ways that you can support us down in the description box below, including our memberships as well as our merchandise store. However you end up supporting I Dream of Indie, we thank you so much for doing so.